Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is well, and I hope everyone is doing good and looking after themselves. I'm back with another speed build, surprise, surprise. This time I'm actually redoing the Goth house, so you don't have to. I think it's in the game. It's kind of like one of the weirdest house for me personally. It's one that I like the idea of, but then the actual execution of it is just a bit weird. And I know lots of people always rebuild it, and I imagine if you're a builder in The Sims, you've probably attempted it as well at some point. If you've done well, let me know. I'd love to check it out. But basically what I was thinking with this, I really wanted to redo the Goth house, but keep the same vibe, basically. I didn't want to change the house completely. I wanted to keep all the same kind of features that they had, like the big turret, and with with the bedroom in there as well. And I wanted to keep that whole vibe. Didn't want to get rid of it because I felt like it wouldn't be the Goth house otherwise. But then at the same time, I wanted to give it some kind of fresher, more styled exterior. So I was going for a really Victorian style house. And when I say Victorian, I mean the kind of American Victorian style, not UK Victorian, because I feel like they're quite different in my opinion, just in subtle changes. And obviously because of the Sims is essentially a American simulator at this point, I kind of felt like it fit in this area as well, where it's kind of these big grand homes. And that's what I did with all the pillars at the front, making it feel really luxurious and grand, because I feel like with the Goth family, they are a very luxurious and grand and traditional family, so I wanted to reflect that in their house. So I found roofing on this to be a fun challenge, because it was quite hard to get the style that I wanted. So I knew I wanted to use that triangle roof at the front, which it does look kind of strange, but I ended up using a few different roof pieces over using the Opticon style roof. So I really wanted to have that shape at the front, because I felt like it was very true to the style almost. And then on the back I actually do something a little bit different. So with the roofing, I took a lot of inspiration from a lot of the buildings that you see in Edinburgh I used to live there, by the way, not just a random thing. A lot of the buildings you see in Edinburgh have these turrets, especially in flats and that, and the way they're roofed and the way that's done is really interesting, where it's not just essentially the cone is stuck on the top. We use a piece of roof that connects it to the rest of the house. So that's what I do, and it makes it feel like it fits a little bit better. So definitely, if you struggle roofing octagon style shapes, definitely try this kind of little bit where you use just the triangle roof and then the octagon roof, and it blends a lot better, and I think it looks cohesive in a way. So yeah, and then I also do that on the top of the back deck as well. I think in the original house they've got kind of quite a big deck that almost wraps around, but I decided to change that up a little bit and create two kind of sections of the house almost, so it does feel front and back. And I also moved it from the lot that it's originally on. So originally it's on the lot next to it, which is actually only a 30 by 20 lot, which I thought was really strange for the Goth house. I feel like it should be on a bigger lot, so I moved it over to the one next to it, keeping it in the same neighborhood in Willow Creek. I feel like it gives you a little bit more space to add things to the garden and all that as well, create this kind of manor feel, which I feel like in the original house it just feels like this gigantic Brit home, and I really want to give it more of that mansion feel. Not mansion, manor. It's definitely not a mansion at all. And then I also wanted to kind of bury it in trees a little bit, because I'm imagining it would be a historical home, and it's right next to the park, and I can just imagine Sim kids having all these ghost stories about the house, and I wanted to make it feel a little bit spooky, and it is also spooky month, so I feel like it's well deserved. But because the original house was black, I wanted to also have that same feeling, and then I felt like the trees would add in a little bit more of a spookiness, because you couldn't quite see it. It helped me out a little bit because it covers up the absolute disasters that the windows turn out to be on this turret. I had made the turret too big, but then I knew if I shrank it down it wouldn't be big enough, so just trying to find windows to match this building it was a nightmare, because we haven't got enough black toned windows at all, or just in general we haven't got enough black tones on any of our furniture. It's always really dark brown, which when you then have black or grey walls, really dark brown looks really weird. I was going with black and grey and white essentially, but I didn't want to use white windows because I felt like they'd be too bright on the outside. So this isn't actually my first attempt at doing this house. I've actually tried to do it a few times, and it's always the exterior shape that throws me, because it's very much far away from my kind of comfort area of building. But I think that's a good thing, especially when now that I'm making content, I really want to push myself to make new things, so that way I can grow and develop and create new exciting content, generating the same house in a different color scheme, hopefully where this channel will go. Another thing is I wanted to use only base game, so that this house could be used for the Goth family if you only have base game, because something I do notice is that some of my videos that restrict the packs tend to get a lot more like positive feedback, and I'm not trying to like make videos just positive feedback, I'll put that out there, but it does remind me that, you know, we're such a big community, and I would actually really like people who are like just getting into the community to be able to like download this and, you know, play with it without having to have, you know, 600 packs to you know, be able to use it. So I did only use base game in this house, and I was very, very careful when I was putting in like clutter and things like that, which, because to be honest, I didn't even use a lot of clutter, which is quite unlike me. But I did only use base game, which I'm actually quite proud of, to be honest. It does mean that some of the paintings in that feel a little bit repetitive sometimes, but I just tried not to fill all the walls with like loads of different decor items and that, so it doesn't feel too bad in the end, I don't think. And it also means that the house is quite expensive, which I do apologise for. I think before I even started doing the interior, I checked it and it was at 87 simoleons. 87 simoleons? Well, bargain. 87,000 simoleons, which is a lot when you've not even like furnished the inside. So I'm pretty sure that was when I'd done the outside and the front. So you may have to do some motherload cheats to be able to use this in gameplay, which I'm sorry about, but I'm also thinking of doing a video where I like make over the Goths. I feel like it's been done quite a lot. But I enjoy doing like cast makeovers as well as building. It's just gameplay I kind of get bored of sometimes, but I think that could be fun, especially if I'm going through and renovating a few homes and stuff. Because at the minute I'm also building in Newcrest and making Newcrest into a save file basically, so that everyone can download and explore if they want to. Because I just really enjoy like making new homes or like renovating the ones that we do have. I find that's kind of like my favourite part about The Sims, especially The Sims 4, is building and creating and improving on the game in a way. I'm looking forward to like doing the Newcrest save file, and I'm trying to like plan out different neighborhoods and what each of those little neighborhoods will be like. So at the minute I've got like one area that's got very like traditional like colonial-esque kind of homes, and then another area I think might be a little bit more modern, and then other places I think I'd also like to be able to do a few more community lots, because I do enjoy making community lots as well. I think they're really hard, but again that's like part of the fun because it's a challenge, you know. So this is where I've added in all the landscaping in the front, and I know it does go a bit mad and very sorry, but I imagine in like the winter months in the game, it would be, if you have seasons, it would be so like spooky looking because all the trees would have no leaves and that, which I think would be so good. I think it would really add to the whole vibe of the house. So I do have a fence going around, which I don't normally do in builds at the minute. I've not really been using fences, but I felt like this was the kind of place that would have it. In the same sense as well, like a lot of UK kind of big manors and that will have like big fences, and then they'll split the front garden and the back garden with another fence, especially on these kind of like big areas, because it's almost like a privacy kind of thing where you can have your back garden as a very separate area to anything else like the pub anyone else could access. So in the back garden I didn't really want to add loads of things as such. I knew I wanted the little pergola area, but I didn't know what else I wanted to put out there, because I don't really, when I was using because I'm not using lots of packs, I just kind of want to keep the garden quite simple. I'm imagining, you know, the Goths, they're more of an indoor entertaining family rather than outdoor barbecues and parties and stuff like that, and garden parties, etc. I feel like they're very much more like a dinner party, very classic inside the home. So the garden isn't neglected, I would say, but it is a little bit more simple compared to what I normally do. In saying that, though, they've still got a hot tub and a pool and a barbecue area and a climbing frame, so I feel like, you know, it's not that neglected, it's just not as mad as I normally would go. If you've seen any of my other builds, you'll know that I put almost everything in the back garden. There will be so many skill objects in the house that your Sims would never run out of anything to do, so you won't just be relying on like computers and that to Sims entertained. Another thing as well, my editing may be a little bit all over the place. That's only because I'm having a problem with recording at the minute. So essentially, like the software that I use to record is just the NVIDIA in-game overlay, which comes with the graphics card essentially. So I've been using that and I haven't had any problems so far until kind of my last few builds. And essentially what it will do, it will just like record and then randomly stop recording in the middle of like the build, and sometimes I won't notice. Most of the time I catch it because a little notification will come up, but if I'm like searching for something in the catalogue, it's very, very easy for me to miss it. So there is a part where I actually wasn't recording for the majority of the indoor like furnishing, and it was just the front entranceway and the dining room, but everything else is fine. That that will be missing, but there is a nice screenshot at the end so you can see how it turned out. The whole house has kind of like the same vibe basically, where it's very much red and black and white inside, very much like the original house that was here, so it's not too different. So yeah, you can see I put the dining table down and then that's it. So I'm very sorry about that, but I'm gonna try using Streamlabs instead of using GeForce basically and see how that turns out, and hopefully my builds videos won't be split up into about 12, no it wasn't 12, it was 13 individual videos, and some of them were only like 2 minutes long. So it would go from having one video that was like 45 minutes long to one that was like 2, and I was like, this is driving me insane. It was the most intense editing I've done for a while, but that's okay because I'm dropping down to 2 videos anyway, so it's a little bit more manageable for me. Didn't really know what I wanted to do with it upstairs because I made the house a lot smaller than the original one was, so even though exterior wise it's very manor-esque, inside it's actually quite a normal kind of sized home, so there's not really anything that's like specifically a master bedroom or anything like that, because they're all quite small. However, in the turret I put their son, I actually can't remember what his name is now, that's so embarrassing. I put the son in there, and then there's also a ladder that goes up to the top of the turret where it's almost like a second bedroom for him almost, because he was originally stuck right up in the top 3rd floor of the building. So I was like, I brought him back down to the same level as the rest of the family, but gave him this extra little hiding space, which I imagine as he like, grows up into a teen, it would be like, you know, more of a study office space, etc. Especially as like 1 of 2 computers are up there, so I imagine the Sims will be in and out of it all the time. But since they added ladders to the base game, I think it's great. I use them like so often, and I think it's really cool for like little areas like that where you can create a little loft or even like a little secret entrance somewhere. So I think out of all the rooms in the house, I really struggled with the kitchen, and that was mainly because where the rest of the house was very much like this red and black and dark wood colour scheme, you can't really do that in the kitchen without it just looking really dark and almost like sucks the light out of the rest of the game. And in the end I kind of pictured this idea that, you know, Bella Goth isn't really the kind of woman that would maybe cook her own meals. I'm imagining her and Mortimer would like, you know, have like staff that do that, especially for like dinner parties and things like that. I'm imagining they would rather be entertaining than cooking. So I kept the kitchen quite like simple in like black and white basically, and a couple of plants to make it look nice and tidy and clean. But other than that, it's a very simple room because I'm imagining they wouldn't spend a lot of time in there. And then the rest of the house is much more like red and black and luxurious, and the same with the bathrooms as well. The bathrooms are all white because of the same issue as like when you have the all black colour scheme, it just seems really, really dark, which I don't like vibe with in kitchens and bathrooms. I just think it doesn't look that good in game. So in this kind of area, I seem to be doing this quite a lot lately, where I do quite a long stretched out living room, and I'll have multiple little seating areas that all have different purposes. So like one's in front of the fire, there's maybe like a little place where you chat with someone else, and there's just like a TV spot, and I really like that because especially if you've got like lots of Sims around, you can have lots of them doing lots of different things, and at least you don't have to have everyone doing the same thing at once, if you get what I mean. Fiddle around with like positioning and things like that, and especially like earlier on I did it with the stairs as well. But then upstairs I also add in like a secondary living room almost. It's almost like a library, I would say, more than a living room. This might be my first attempt at the house. I would expect more. I think I'll probably try and redo this at some point in the near future at all, but at some point in my YouTube career I probably will. It would be good to do like in a year or something like that, doing it again and being like seeing how much I've changed or what I've added and stuff like that. Just using base game was also somewhat difficult for me just because I'm so used to like using clutter items from loads of different packs, but I feel like it kind of works with the Goth family because I'm just imagining they wouldn't be the kind of people that would have clutter out everywhere. They would like get everything to be tidy and neat and, you know, put away, ready for anyone to come around. So I kind of like went with that vibe and didn't use too much clutter. Apart from the kids' rooms, to be fair, the kids' rooms are actually a little bit more relaxed in the sense they have like a few objects and toys like strewn about the place, but that's fine. I think it works really well for like those two, and it does add a little bit more personality, whereas like the rest of the house, I'm imagining, you know, it's very like well kept. Anyways, we are getting near to the end of the build, so I will let you enjoy the rest of it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a lovely week, I guess, because this will be the Monday video. Look after yourselves, and I will see you soon. Bye.